to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. With that, this August 11th regular scheduled board meeting is called to order. Can I get a motion to accept the agenda?
Motion to accept, Steve Carmichael.
With a first and second, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Sir, Jason Collins,
Yes.
Scott Brown, Steve Carmichael,
Yes.
James Sargent, Sonny Fentress.
Attendance report. Let the minutes show that all members except for Mr. Brown are present. I know Scott said that he was unable to connect. He may connect in later. So if he does, then we'll let everyone know. Next up, can I get an approval of the minutes?
Motion, Steve Carmichael.
With first and second, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir, Jason Collins,
Yes.
Steve Carmichael,
Yes.
James Sargent, Sonny Fentress.
Financial report.
Good evening. For our financial report this evening, you can see overall revenue has increased by about 9%. The increase is due in part to an increase in SEEK funding of $63,000 or about 6%, and an increase in interest income of about $18,000, which was double what we had at this point last year. Other revenues for July are basically zero due to the timing of receiving funds at this point in the year. So that's kind of just a little bit of information about the revenues. Expenditures for salary and benefits are up 1.3%. That is reasonable based on the step in 4.5% that was approved. I do anticipate that that will increase as we start the school year, and we have all of our teachers being paid starting in August. Non-salary expenditures are up 22.3%. We have several drivers of that increase, including the timing of our Infinite Campus renewal payment. That was in the beginning of the year versus the end of the year. The addition of a traceable communication platform, that was at a cost of $15,300. Insurance premium increases for our workers' comp was about $20,000, and our property and casualty insurance increased $88,000. an increase in just general supply costs and service provider costs as well are driving that increase on our non-salary expenditures. A couple of other items I'd like to touch on this evening. Later on tonight, we're going to be discussing the tax rate. I'll be giving you all some information so that you can set that tax rate for fiscal year 26. I'm going to go in depth with expected revenues, detailed values during that presentation, but I just want to highlight a few items for you before we get to that point later on this evening. Last school year, we had about 500 full-time employees. I believe it was actually 498, with an average salary of $47,000. Approximately 75% of those employees live in Anderson County and contribute to our local economy. If you extrapolate that out, that's about a $17 to $18 million boost to the local economy from our employees. From the 17-18 school year, from 2017-18 school year to the 2025-26 school year, starting salary for a rank 3 step 0 teacher has increased 20.31%. A teacher who started with Anderson County in 2017-18 with a rank 3 and did not have a rank change up until today for this fiscal year, 25-26 school year, they would have a 36.9% increase in their pay with step increases and raises throughout that time period. A teacher who started with Anderson County as a rank 2 in 17-18 and did not have a rank change would see a 38% increase in their pay from 17-18 to 25-26. That's including the step increases every year and the raises that have been approved by the board. In terms of classified pay, classified bus driver starting pay has increased 31.5% from 17-18 to today, and a driver who started with us in 17-18 and continues driving today has seen a 41.1% increase in their hourly rate. That's including step increases and raises that were approved. Instructional assistant starting pay has increased 37.7% over that same time period. And an instructional assistant that started with us in 17-18 and continues to work in that same position today has seen a 48.8% increase in their hourly pay during that time. That includes step increases and other raises that were approved. Food service workers starting pay has increased 32% from 17-18 to 25-26. Food service worker that started in 17-18 and continues to work today in the same position has seen a 46.4% increase in their hourly pay. Now, while I would say there's probably still some room to improve, those are pretty good increases. I mean, we've definitely invested in our people over that time. Additionally, over that same time period, as a district, we have renovated and upgraded HVAC, lighting, and other mechanical systems at multiple school locations. Our bus fleet, maintenance vehicles, and other equipment has been upgraded and replaced. 2 schools have been recognized by U.S. News and World Report. We have ranked as high as 19%, the top 19% academically in the state. District, regional, and state championships have been won by our athletic and extracurricular teams and organizations. Thousands upon thousands of meals have been served at no cost to our parents and students, and we've provided basic school supplies for several years in a row at no cost to our families and students. And all the while, the tax rate in the 24-25 school year was 5.1% lower than it was in 2017-2018, and 9.4% lower than the peak rate during the 19-20 school year over that time period, that 17-18 time period. Again, I'll go into more depth with the revenue that we would expect based on the different rates that I will present, but I just wanted to highlight a few of our accomplishments and investments over the course of the last decade. Thank you.
Could you repeat that one stat you talked about, the tax rate from 2017-18 to this one?
The 17-18 school year, the tax rate was right now in 24-25 school year. We haven't set the 25-26. In 17-18 to now, the rate is 5.1% lower as a percentage of the rate.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I get a motion to approve the financial report?
Motion, Steve Carmichael.
Second, Sonny Fentress.
With the first and second, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Jason Collins.
Yes.
Steve Carmichael.
Yes.
James Sargent. Sonny Fentress.
Yes.
Orders of the treasurer.
Are there any questions regarding the orders?
If no questions, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion, Steve Carmichael.
Second, Sonny Fentress.
With the first and second, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Jason Collins?
Yes.
Steve Carmichael?
Yes.
James Sargent? Sonny Fintres?
Yes.
Superintendent's report.
All right, I'd like to thank everyone for being here this evening. Thank you for supporting our students, our staff, our wonderful district as a whole. We are very appreciative of your support, and thank you for attending. And those of you that are online, thank you as well. We had a great start to the school year. On Thursday, August the 7th, we started the year, and I'd like to just officially welcome all of our students, families, and staff to the 25-26 school year. I'd also like to thank all of the staff who worked tirelessly, long hours, additional time, to make the transition back to school seamless. That includes so many people. I'm not even going to try to name them all, but Anderson County School staff prides themselves on a seamless transition, but also making the beginning of the year just very special for all of our students. I'd like to also thank our Anderson County Board of Education for $45,000 worth of school supplies. As Mr. White said, basic school supplies as we start our school year got into the hands of our students. I'd like to say thank you to our Assistant Superintendent, Travis Harley, who worked very closely with the FRC coordinators, and very importantly, some folks from Walmart, Bill Thrasher, as well as Miss Julie and Cheyenne, just did an amazing job organizing and making sure that everything was seamless when parents, from the time the parents got the vouchers to the time they went through the line at Walmart to hopefully into the classrooms on August the 7th. I'd also like to say thank you to Mr. Harley for getting the additional school supplies that were requested at the schools and making sure that everyone, including our teachers, got all of the needed supplies that they need to start the school year off. I'd also like to say thank you to our Sheriff's Office. We are blessed with an amazing group of people. Our Sheriff Milam, as well as our Lieutenant Likens, did an amazing job organizing a wonderful community event, the DARE event, which was Saturday, August the 2nd. Everybody showed up and showed out, and we had the perfect weather for the perfect day. And I just want to say thank you to Sheriff Milam, Lieutenant Likens, as well as our SRO, James Dunn, who did an amazing job getting everyone to attend the event for our students and our families. But again, I'd also like to say thank you to our FRC folks and Mr. Harley and Blake Jury and all of the folks. I know I'm missing somebody, Mr. Murphy and Mr. White, who came out to help us as well. Mr. Robin Ratliff, I think, was there. It was a really nice day, and we saw a lot of folks, gave away a few T-shirts, and it was just a really nice event, so thank you to you all for organizing that amazing event. On that following Sunday, on June the 3rd, August the 3rd, on that Sunday, the Lawrenceburg Police Department did their annual Cops for Cuts, and had a lot of Anderson County students come in to get fresh haircuts to start the year. They pay for all of that. I'd like to also say thank you to so many beauticians and barbers who came in as well to just donate their time and be there to make sure that our students were ready and prepared for the start of school. So thank you to Chief Beach and his staff, all the officers that came and spent the day with us and our students. It was just a really nice event as well. We're so grateful for so many community partners. They care so much about our kids. They care so much about our families, and we're grateful to have all of them provide funding and a lot of time and support to help us support our students and our staff so that we can have a successful, great start to the school year. I have a very special introduction this evening. Mrs. B.J. Gritton is our new food service director. Let's give her a great big round of applause before we get started. I'd also like to say thank you to our students who led our prayer and our pledge this evening. Ryan and Sawyer, thank you all for being here and leading us through our opening. That was a very special treat. We're grateful for you to do that. And Saberlin, I know she's left, but wasn't that just beautiful? I started to come to try to turn her microphone on and put it in her hand so that everybody in the community could hear it, but wasn't it great? Let's give them a round of applause so we can get our meeting started. Last but absolutely not least, I have a very special award that I would like to present tonight. And this is a big honor, just to graduate from high school with honors, of course, but with a college degree as well. In the same month that you graduate from high school is quite an accomplishment. So we have a young lady who I just love dearly. She's very special to me. I know she's very special to her mama and her daddy, but a lot of folks at Anderson County High School. And I get the honor tonight of giving her an award. So, Miss Caitlin, come on up here. Miss Caitlin Lilly, of course, again, she's a very special person, but she has the highest GPA of a student athlete at Anderson County High School. So she receives the Jim Boyd Award for having the highest GPA at the end of the year. So let's give her a great big round of applause for that accomplishment. I'm going to shake your hand. Hand you your beautiful award. But I have to say these things about Caitlin. So, besides being just an amazing young lady and just being smart and an amazing athlete on the track, in the classroom, she is just an overall good person. I would go to Walmart on the weekend, or not Walmart, but Target. See, I messed up. At Target on the weekends, I would go to Target in the evenings, and I would see her working. So not only is she an amazing student as far as her academics go, she's an amazing athlete, but she's just an amazing student, an amazing person. So congratulations, Caitlin. We are so proud of you. We can't wait to see what you do at Bellarmine next year. I know Mama is a little bit sad that you're going, but we're so proud of you and can't wait to see you do big things on your educational journey at Bellarmine. Let's give her another great big round of applause. Would you like to say anything, Caitlin? No? All right. Chairman, that's all I have this evening.
Thank you. Next up, we have comments from visitors, but we had no one sign up. So moving along, we have, next is our leave request. ACHS staff member requesting approval to take unpaid leave to attend a family wedding September the 2nd through the 9th, 2025, using 3 personal days and 3 unpaid leave days.
Are there any questions regarding this request?
Second, Steve Carmichael.
With a first and second, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Jason Collins?
Yes.
Steve Carmichael?
Yes.
James Sargent? Sonny Fintrez?
Yes.
Construction updates.
So as far as construction at the middle school, we continue to work with the design team and the contractors to work through all the commissioning items. There is one item left that we are awaiting some direction from the design team on, and that is pertaining to exterior lighting at the middle school, ensuring that everything was working as it was beforehand. Nothing with that system was really touched, but when they took the system down, some of the information, now you can hear me. Some of the information in the programming was lost or mixed up. They reloaded the program, but it's still not working correctly. So they're going to go through that and finalize that programming. The field, the contractor, that grass is still coming in. It's not in perfect. The contractor's continuing to mow it right now. They're going to spray it for weeds and continue to do that. And they have reassured us this fall they're going to be coming back and refertilizing the field to try to help accelerate the grass growth, especially that time of year. And then over at Saffel, I don't believe there's anything outstanding over that. We've worked through some issues with the suppliers and the manufacturers for the equipment on that. We had several meetings Working through some issues with some of the unit ventilators over there. By and large, those have been taken care of. There's a couple that are still throwing some wonky codes and having some issues with. We're working through those with the contractor. That's all kind of normal warranty stuff as we get all of that dialed in just right, with the commissioning and the testing and balancing and all of that, along with the units. Outside of that, we're continuing through the warranty phase. So anything comes up, I'm in touch with Terry and the school. And optimally, next month, you all will have your last report from me. Best case scenario. That's. I know, until you want me back. Just I live here in Anderson County. Thank you all.
Thank you. The next two items, I'm actually going to step out for. I'm being attached to the fire service, even though I'm not with Anderson County Fire District, who's actually the one presenting and asking. I don't want there to be any kind of conflict of interest, so I'm going to step out of the room for this. If Mr. Sargent would care to take care of those items for me.
Request for fire program. Where am I? Oh, I'm sorry. Should've been paying more attention. Approval of fire instructor. Anderson County Principal Chris Glass is requesting approval of fire science instructor to create a career pathway. Anderson County High School is requesting a partnership with our local county fire department, who will provide an instructor as a teacher at Anderson County High School for the fire science program at no cost to the district. Before we move on, one of the things that I would ask, because the first and question I have, the first and the second thing is the next item, first and second. One is saying no cost to the district, and the next one is saying the fire program start not to exceed $35,000. So before I'd just like to know the $35,000. Is that grant, or where's the $35,000 coming from?
Thank you, Mr. Sargent. So the first request is the approval of the fire instructor, and so as you see, Mr. Glass has worked with our fire chief from our county, and we are requesting an adjunct teacher. We have two firemen who are able and are credentialed in order to serve in that role, and so the first request is for approval in order to proceed forward with the fire instructor. Again, there'll be two, so if one is absent, the second one would be able to fill in, and our fire chief is asking his firemen to fill that role so our students can have that career pathway and be able to take that class. The second item is for equipment, if necessary and needed, up to $35,000. One part of that is for them to have a nice collared shirt, a pair of pants, and some shoes so that they can have a uniform. As you see, some of our students who have already gone through that program are wearing. The second part is for equipment for them to be able to use to train. The request is to come from we have a career and technical education grant through the Kentucky Department of Education that helps us fund that. And Mr. White does a really great job of working with the administration at the high school as well as KDE to pay that money out and then get reimbursed. So it would not technically come from the general fund, so to pay that out. So it would be up to $35,000 if the board so chose to approve that part, so that our fire instructor can work with our students that are enrolled in the class in order to be able to train for.
My second thing, is these items that the funds are gonna buy, the uniforms or whatever, is that something that's gonna be reused year to year, or is that something that you gotta buy each year?
It's a great question, too. So the uniforms would be for the student to have for the entire time of their coursework in the class, and then the other equipment would be reused. So it will be reused from year to year, from student to student, over the course of, I guess, the life of the equipment.
So how many students do you have already enrolled in this class?
27.
Oh, that's great.
27 open today, we got 27 still, so that's a good thing. They haven't run anybody off yet, right?
The reason why I'm asking all these questions, I'm thinking down the road, what if our school district gets in a financial bind and we can't afford, for future generations to buy these items, or, and I don't like to, once I start something, I don't like to quit.
Sure.
And that's what the reason why I'm asking is, are we gonna have funds in the future to continue on with this if we get into a pickle here?
I really appreciate that question. And so Chief and I have worked, if you'd like to come on up, Chief, and answer. He and I have met. He also met with Anderson County High School. He has arranged some meetings for some potential funding. So I'll ask him would you care to respond to that?
Oh, absolutely. So this equipment, 10-year life expectancy is what we're looking at. So I think it'll be getting used over and over. Polo shirts and pants, I don't want to reuse those, as you can imagine. We're only asking for one set for that. If they end up joining up our cadet program, which is what I would hope they would continue to, and that would be with our department, I'll be willing to go ahead and pick up the remainder cost of that to provide another uniform for them as well. This year, we worked very hard on this. It took us about a year to be able to do this and to meet with your all staff and Mr. Glass and Ms. Mitchell, as well as my staff. Something I'm very proud of. We didn't know if we were going to have a need for it. So we got kind of down to crunch time. That's where we were at. I'm willing to pick up both of those guys' salary as well as any other equipment. I'm not asking for that. So on any given day, I'm willing to roll a $1 million fire truck up to your school so that they can use that, as well as all the equipment on there, air packs, nozzles, any extrication tools. If I was to purchase that separately, individually, we would be probably $1.7 million that I'm willing to invest in Anderson County because I know you guys are willing to invest in me. I think there's other grants out there. We just haven't had a chance to apply for those, and those would be awarded in October if it was for the fire service. I'm willing to have my grant guy do that, which is the guy that is Major Brown. I apologize, he could not be here tonight. He had to reschedule. He is going through an interview process to be a deacon at his church. He is a retired firefighter out of Shelbyville, a legacy firefighter. His dad was a captain there. 3 of his sons also work for me, one of which went through our program. 2 of those that you've seen lead here tonight have went through our program as well. So we're going to be feeding into our own system, and I want to keep those people working here at home and giving back to our community is what my goal is, as well as partnering with EMS, and I'm willing to take on the cost of those supplies to include our instructors, and one of those is Bree Enos, who just come in there on the hat on the right. She is also one of my advisors for my cadet program. So my goal is when they graduate this program is to be a certified firefighter as well as an EMT. You have to be 18 to take the National Registry test. One of those is sitting here, which is Mr. Ryan Womack, and that's all he's waiting on is to turn 18 to be able to do that. His dad, all but 2 people on all of my command staff, to include his dad, which is my assistant chief, started right here at Anderson County. I'm a product of this. If I'd had this in school, I would have taken this program. I owe my career to this fire department. I started here as a junior firefighter, which was basically a way to get insurance on people that was under 18 years old. So worked my way through, went to EMS, worked for a couple different agencies to include Frankfort, retired there, and come back here and turned out to be the chief, as well as my other assistant chief, which is Brandon Brown, graduate of Anderson County. all 3 of my battalion chiefs, all but 1 of my lieutenants, and 3 of my captains graduated from Anderson County, and they're in leadership roles right here at this department today. And those are also going to be your instructors that we're going to come in and volunteer their time to be able to give back to their community.
Is Anderson County in the future are we gonna build a paid fire department here?
We're paid right now, sir. Yes, sir, we're combination. Yep. No, sir, I've got 2 stations. We were staffed out on Wildcat Road. That one is staffed 24/7. When I took over a year ago, I ended up staffing Beaver Lake Fire Station Monday through Friday because I thought it was important to have somebody in the center of the county. Those people pay taxes as well. That's very rural out there, and it gives us about a 10-minute jump on anybody that's coming from town to include EMS. So we're about 110. That means you haven't had an emergency. That's a good thing. Absolutely.
You know, I'm not trying to give you a hard time.
No, sir.
You know, I'm elected, I answer.
Very valuable questions, and I want you to go out and be a cheerleader for this program. So I want you to know what's going on.
I have to answer to the people who elected me.
100%.
So if I don't know the answer,
Nope.
I can't go out in my community.
Nope.
I think you live in my district.
I do.
To answer, you know, my people out who voted for me.
Sure.
That's why, I ask so many questions, is be able to answer their questions if they call me. I can answer one that I didn't know. I didn't know we had 2 paid fire departments.
Yes, sir. When I took over a year ago, we had 50 firefighters. We're up to 110 right now. I don't know the number, and I don't micromanage my people. That's why I don't know this number, but I got the lady that can tell you. How many cadets do we have right now, Ms. Ennis? We have 14. Oh, put 2 more on. I would hope any of these 27 will go into our cadet program. They can come in on Thursday nights, train with us. We'll get them certified that much faster. But as you know, you've known me for a long time. I'm full transparent, full disclosure, have nothing to hide. That's why I want to come up here today. Yes, sir.
Like I said, you know how I am.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna ask questions.
I'll also give you this tidbit. When I took over, I had a $250,000 deficit. Last year when we finished out, I turned over $300 or $300,000 surplus. So when I tell you I'm frugal with your money, I assure you that, and any of my people back here can attest to that, to include Mr. SRO, Lieutenant Likens back there. I don't take it lightly that when you go to give me money, we're very frugal with it and we spend it very sparingly. Yes, sir. I'm sure he'll tell you the same thing. Who's your nephew?
Brandon Redden.
Yep, I know Brandon. Yes, very good guy.
So, I mean, I'm very familiar with
Yes, sir.
All right, that's all my questions.
One other thing I did want to add, just for y'all's information, because Miss Mitchell alluded to the CTE pathway. This will be a pathway, and it will start this school year. I want to give a little bit of kudos to one of my assistant principals, Robbie McCann. He worked with Kentucky Department of Education on the certification for the 2 gentlemen that are going to teach. And they've agreed also. I can't speak highly enough of them wanting to do this and make sure it was a full-fledged CTE program where we can get post-secondary readiness for our students and all that kind of stuff. So they are both going to go through the continuation. They're going to do an education program over the next 2 years in order to make sure that they become certified CTE teachers through Kentucky Department of Education so that we have this in place.
I work at a company and I travel with my job. I'm working different. Today I worked in Georgetown. Tomorrow I'll be in Sevierville. But I have to give y'all credit. I've seen houses, things catch on fire in other places, and I've seen it here. And I've seen that here had a great, things wasn't destroyed like in other towns. And I do give y'all credit. They do a good job.
That's my people. They do a great job. I feel guilty for this because I get to stand up at meetings like this and I get to go to physical court and other meetings and I get to take credit for all of the hard work that they do. And I'm glad they're here tonight to be able to hear that as well. I have a great group of individuals that work for me and do a fantastic job. I cannot speak good enough about them. As well as your school staff. Been awesome to work with. Everything's been on the table. Any issue that's come up, we have found a solution for it. Didn't matter what it was. We've worked all the way through this thing. The stop was not in their vocabulary on this. They were going to make it happen. So.
I know of firefighters that died of lung cancer. Them old firefighters in Frankfurt, I know a bunch of them that died of lung cancer, and they would play tough man and wouldn't wear air mask and
They smoked about 2 packs a day, too. I worked with a lot of them. So, yeah, yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely.
Just a couple of questions. First of all, there's 2 different items on here.
Yes, sir.
I absolutely support the first item on here because I think this is a tremendous opportunity
Sure.
for our young people.
Sure.
I'm curious, is there a program for EMTs as well, or is this part of the same program? That's one question. And the other is this a program that supports both the county and the city? Because the district I represent is kind of a donut hole in the middle up here in town.
Absolutely.
In the county.
Absolutely. So those,
City and county, do these young people, the program that you have that meets on Thursday nights, that prepares them to advance in the program, does it support both city and county, or is it simply the county fire department? I don't know.
100%. Same way with the cadets that are in the class. If they live in the city boundaries, they're more than willing to, or more than welcome to go ahead and join that department and get their extra training. What I've started doing is a lot of places, I can honestly say this, they don't have as many opportunities to train. Usually they'll train once a week. Sometimes they get canceled on that. So we bring people up from Spencer County. We bring them from Franklin County. We do joint trainings. We bring them from Woodford County. Those people will come over and train as well. My thing is, it doesn't matter what imaginary boundary you're within, as long as learning has occurred, then credit's due. So even if it is somebody from somewhere else, we can learn from those people as well. And it also makes our instructors stronger. So yes, it'll feed either system.
Okay, that's part
Your question on the EMT program, I want to be very careful on staying in my lane here. I think there's been some talks from EMS about doing an EMT program. What I can also make this promise is that if that does not happen, our instructors are more than capable of taking over that program, and we can add that to this.
I don't know a lot about this, but I know when I see a fire truck respond, there are always folks on there, and I don't know if they're EMTs, what their role is, but they're firefighters.
Just depends on-
They provide those services, but EMTs do come along as kind of as a tandem kind of a situation there. So it's a lack of knowledge on my part. I just don't know
and it
exactly
changes.
how that works.
It depends on the jurisdiction. So some people are just firefighters. So I retired out of Frankfurt. Everybody was there, was required to at least be an EMT. And then probably 40 of us were paramedics as well. So you were dual role. So some days it was your day on the ambulance, some days it was your day on the fire truck until you got promoted. But even at that, if you showed up on a fire truck and medical care needed to be given, then they were asked to do that as well. Same way here. We spend about $15,000 on EMS supplies. Every one of our trucks has got an EMS bag on it to include an AED, and then all of our command vehicles. So if you see the pickup trucks and SUVs out, they have an AED on it as well, and those are more of our quick response vehicles.
I think it's a tremendous opportunity for our young people that you have a chance to do this, if that's where your calling is.
Absolutely.
A chance to get started as a freshman, to be able to follow this through for 4 years at the high school, and then have the possibility of a job opportunity at the end of it. I think
Absolutely.
it's tremendous.
So keep in mind, a lot of fire departments have had problems with the recruiting, and they've dropped their ages down. So even Lexington, my son just finished up with their academy over there. He had went to Frankfurt, and a lot of the guys that I trained were his bosses. It was a great opportunity to do that. He wanted to get out from underneath my shadow, for one. For two, there's just not a retirement system anymore. Everybody in law enforcement and state government is Tier 3. That's just a 401k hybrid. Lexington still has their own retirement system, and that's where I encourage people to go. But as far as Franklin County, right down the road, 18 years old, you can get on full-time. We're working on a grant to have 2 extra full-time people here. That'll be at no cost to the county. We're just waiting on getting awarded that grant, and I feel pretty confident on that. That's a SAFER grant, and that should come around October. So we've got about $3 million worth of grants out right now to include a hydrant program grant. So to put hydrants out into our high priority areas. That will come at no cost to the county. And that's just networking and working with other agencies to include South Anderson Water District. So.
More questions for you.
Absolutely.
James asked about that. As far as paid positions, are the Lawrenceburg and the county, are they paid positions or are they volunteer positions, or are there some of both?
So Lawrenceburg has a full-time chief. He makes about $40,000. That is their only paid / part-time position. I think they require them to do about 20 hours a week. I've got 3 full-time guys, probably 3.5 right now, depending on how you cut this other guy. He's our mechanic, and he also works for the county. And then the rest of mine is filled with part-timers to cover that staff Monday through Friday, out at Beaver Lake, and then on Wildcat Road, that's covered 24/7. And those are about part-timers. Generally, a lot of those guys are, they're also full-time firefighters somewhere else. They either started here or they've moved here and they want to get back to their community. But these guys right here, they do ride days as well. So it's like co-oping. They go out and ride. We really monitor them. They can't be around live fire, but other than that, they can do a lot of other stuff.
Last question.
Yes, sir.
I was reading some of the prep stuff before we got to the meeting, and the breakdown was, I think, $3,000 for the polos and whatever attire goes with that.
Absolutely.
$28,000 for equipment.
Yes, sir.
Still have some concern about the polos. How do you make those last for 4 years? I can't get mine to last for a year, but maybe you can, maybe young people are better at that than I am, but that part's okay. The 28,000.
Sure.
What kinds of equipment are we talking about, and is this equipment that's ours that lasts, it goes forever, or is this stuff is it reusable, recyclable? Is it, what are they gonna do with it?
That's going to be helmets, coats, pants, and boots. And that's a wildland/auto extrication type gear. It's not full firefighting structural gear. That's about $1,000 per set per person is what that's going to turn out to be. And that should last about 10 years. I've got some extra gear, and as much as I wash that, I'm not going to take the risk, as I talked with Superintendent Mitchell, just the carcinogens and other cancer-causing agents. I'm not going to take that chance, especially at the age group at which these people are going to be entering into this program. So I would prefer to have them in full-time gear, or brand new gear, I'm sorry, and that would last approximately up to 10 years.
You know, I think I can speak for all five of us. We're about the most frugal people you will find when it comes to spending money.
Sure.
I'm wondering with the 28,000, is this, since we're just getting started, is it necessary to have new equipment, or is this something that other firefighters could donate that we could use, that's usable, that could kind of extend us maybe into the next year or the third year before we went out and bought brand new equipment? Do firefighters donate equipment? Do other systems donate equipment? Is there stuff that's still good that other communities buy new equipment and they do something with their old stuff? Is it possible that we could kind of extend ourselves into year 2 or year 3 before we spent $28,000 on brand new?
No, as I said before, it's got a 10-year expiration date on that. And the other gear that I have would be able to mismatch sizes for these people. And that gear has been used in firefighting. And no matter how many times I wash that gear, I'm not willing to risk possible carcinogens still being in that and then placing it on them. I would scrap the whole program before I would risk that. You understand that? Completely. So I think it's best to go into new gear that's not going to be used in firefighting and will serve their needs. That gear is roughly about $1,500 a set. The good part between me and my major is we've called surrounding dealers, and they've basically given that gear at cost. That's going to be no overhead for them. It's no profit.
So would this be a one-time expense, $28,000, a one-time expense if it has a 10-year life expectancy?
Unless we added other people into the program.
My life expectancy, maybe, I don't know.
So, unless we added other people into the program. So if we move into another 30 people, which would be a good thing, I think my budget would probably be more in control and underway next year, and I would just pick up that cost. That's no problem.
So did you just say this might be a one-year expense, and next year you would pick it up? Is that what you just said?
If feasible, yes, sir. No, yes, sir. Yep. No, I'm willing to do that. We'll sit down, we'll look at my budget, and we'll see what's going on. I'll bring you a copy of my budget, and you see where we're at.
This is a great opportunity for our school system, our community, our kids.
No.
Again, we're very frugal up here.
No, I completely understand.
From folks occasionally asking about taxes and taxing rates and all those kinds of things, but we're really very frugal up here. You know, we're spending the community's money, so we try to ask a lot of questions. And make sure we understand what we're doing before we vote on it.
No, but also understand.
What you say is that this $28,000 would get this program started, and we would probably not hear from somebody next year asking for another $28,000.
That would be my hopes, yes, sir. But like I said, I'll come back, we'll re-examine my budget. I'm not asking you to pony up to the bar there and me not. I'm willing to give back if you're willing to invest in me. Yes, sir.
We appreciate your commitment to this.
No, absolutely.
That was a text message that I received, and the question was, you know, money coming out of the fire district's tax dollars, sort of all coming out of the school district tax dollars. And, that was one of their questions, like you said, Steve, wondering,
So one of my guys' salary, to be honest with you, is $45,000. I'm willing to put that up. So to be able to pull this out of recruitment and retention and fire equipment next year, yeah, that's where my money would come from, out of the fire district, and it covers for this program. The cadet program, they also have their budget item as well. I think this coming year is going to be about $15,000 into that.
you're up here at the night, we got to set a tax rate. And when we leave here, people's gonna be coming to us about the tax rate, whether we lower it, we raise it, or whatever we do tonight. So, we gotta be extra prepared to hear the calls when they go ringing our phones. That's why we gotta ask you, where we at with the money?
Sure, absolutely.
I'll just ask one other quick question. Are there ever opportunities when folks have equipment that is still new, that they've not used, that they purchased, that they could donate? Not something that's been in a fire.
No, usually that's going to be just an oddball size set of gear. It's going to be a 3X or it's going to be an extra, extra small, because any extra gear gets donated to people in North Carolina when they had the floods. Those fire departments get wiped out. And we've sent gear down to those people as well. London ends up having tornadoes and they lose their air packs. We send our old air packs down there.
So-
And we also use those for training. When those get outdated, we use those for training so that we don't tear up our new air packs and equipment and gear.
One of the trucks that you was probably on, a gentleman that I know very well bought it, and it's sitting out on Powell Taylor Road in his front yard.
Yes, sir. We had this conversation last time I was down here. I remember that. It was engine 4. It was a custom cab that sits out on Powell Taylor Road. We had a fire about 2 doors down from that, right across the street. That's there by Mr. Tony's.
He has as many fire trucks and fully equipped. He's got a building in Orange County full. He has everything that's ever known that a firefighter has. He loves the fire. He never worked for the fire.
That'd be a good opportunity for me and you to go sit down with him and get him to donate that fire truck to this program.
He's a lawyer, and he grew up beside a fire station. And he admired the fire trucks coming out there, so he has bought he bought that
Yes, sir.
truck.
Yes, sir.
And he donates money he donated a fire truck for Winchester, Clark County, for them to use, the fire department to use in their parades. Was his truck that he donated to them. So get him to donate something.
Mr. Carmichael, to answer your question, that's who I'm going to go approach to buy the gear for next year. Is that gentleman right there?
Yeah, and you need to get him to donate one of them trucks here so you can have.
I'm in. Yes, sir.
Again, I'll say this is a great program, and we're incredibly blessed
Sure.
to have this starting here. So my question is really about the funding part of it. But
Nope,
what
I understand.
you're saying is that this is a one-time expense for us as a board, that you'll find a way to, if we need additional.
That is what my hopes is to be. Yes, sir.
You'll make.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
I would also like the record to show that Scott Brown joined our meeting at 7:36 p.m. a few minutes ago, so he will also be able to be voting on this item. Is there any additional conversation or questions or discussion at this time?
Entertain a motion. Get to approve. Got a motion approved. Got a second?
Is that on the first one there for the fire instructor? Okay. I'll make a motion. Steve Carmichael.
Sonny Fentress, second.
We got a motion and a second, and I want the record to make sure it's shown that, we're not spending, any cost out of the district for this item. All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. I voted for it too. All right,
I think we all voted in favor of it.
All right. Can I also get
Thank you, Scott.
Mr. Brown, are you a yes vote? Thank you. Mr. Sargent, are you, Mr. Fentress, and Mr. Carmichael, all yes votes? Thank you.
the next item before Mr. Collins request for fire program funding. Principal Chris Glass is requesting approval for uniform costs to get the fire program started, not to exceed $35,000. I think we went into a long, lengthy discussion on this, so, is there any more, Scott, do you, or is it any questions you, or any more questions, Mr. Carmichael?
No, sir.
Mr. Fentress,
No.
do I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve it the way that the chief has explained it here. That's, it's $28,000 this year plus the uniform cost, a one-time expense.
Second, Sonny Fentress.
We got a motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I only got one comment. For the person that, I put a letter on my, I gotta say this, I put a letter on my Facebook page from President Trump about some items I requested for funding for school systems in Kentucky. Somebody put a wisecrack comment on there that I didn't know how to read, so I just want, I hope they're listening tonight, I do know how to read.
Thank you, sir. All right, just for the record to show, did anyone vote no? All right, thank you.
Next up, we have data security breach. Chief Information Officer Blake Drury will provide the annual data security breach presentation.
All right, thank you, guys. So this is the data security update. Each year, we go through best practices with our staff, and staff are trained each year, and this is the update to the board about the data security that we have here in the district. So the purpose is basic awareness of data security and notification to the board as required by law. Most common causes of a data breach or accidental sharing, email, website, paper being left out, lost or theft. We see a lot of phishing, clickbait, spam messages, weak or stolen passwords, and then everything else. All of the other people that are trying to get your information or trying to get people's information. Again, I'm not going to read through this definition of personally identifiable information, but it's the information that different agencies collect at times, including social security number and things like that, that could be used by people for malicious intent. So we want to make sure that we protect that. The methods, controls, and safeguards that we use, we have operational safeguards. That's training, education, best practices. Each year, our staff are trained, and they go through training about FERPA, about HIPAA law, and then also about personally identifiable information and how to safeguard that. We use location and access rules. We use locked doors to keep information behind locked cabinets. We have retention schedules. There's a data breach notification that is required if we were to have some type of data breach. There's a process we go through to notify the people involved and also other agencies within the state. And then we also have insurance coverage for any kind of cyber attack, cybersecurity. Privacy safeguards, we try to minimize the stuff that we collect. We don't want to collect, private information that we don't need, so we're very cautious with that. We ensure proper destruction and disposal. When we have things that we have to release, we make sure that we check and redact the things that should be redacted before they're released. And then we teach clean desk guidelines, not leaving personally identifiable information laying out in the open where someone that comes into your office could see that. Then again, we have our security controls, authentication, password, encryption, and all of the stuff that we do to make sure that we keep our people safe electronically. We make sure we purge stale accounts. One new thing we have this year is the CUES project, and that's a statewide program where we are moving to automate some of the process of creating accounts and deleting accounts so that when somebody leaves, their account's immediately disabled, doesn't become a stale account, which a lot of times are used or targeted by these people looking to get your information. So that is all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Drury. Is there any questions? If no questions, we'll move on. Next up is approved traceable communication systems. Chief Information Officer Blake Drury is requesting the board to add Freshdesk, a help desk ticketing system, to the Anderson County Schools list of approved traceable communication systems. The system meets the requirements for traceable communications in KRS 160.145, which was created by Section 1 of Senate Bill 181. Another part is, in order to support the full compliance with Senate Bill 181 and to ensure secure, consistent communication with students enrolled in dual credit courses, BCTC is requesting approval of the following communication systems currently utilized by KCTCS. That's Blackboard, which is through Anthology, Outlook, which is the email for kctcs.edu, and Starfish, which is EAB. Is there any questions on that? If no questions, can
Second, Steve Carmichael.
with the first and second, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Jason Collins.
Yes.
Scott Brown. Steve Carmichael.
Yes.
James Sargent. Sonny Fentress.
Yes.
To be clear, I want to make sure that everybody understands that any request for BCTC on any of these traceable communication tools come through BCTC, not from Anderson County Schools, because we do not cover any of the three of those for KCTCS or BCTC.
Next up is KSBA Custom Policy Procedure Service for the 25-26 year. Consideration to approve payment for the 25-26 Policy and Procedure Services and e-meeting maintenance service in the amount of $5,725.
It's about the same of last year, not much difference, sir. And this is for the maintenance. As you all know, we have those annual updates. They do all of the research, the add-ins, the deletions that you all typically would hear me read out loud, and to ensure that we are in compliance with statute and/or any other recommendations by their attorney. And our attorney, as you all know, read those as well. But any questions that I can answer? Okay.
Motion to approve, Sonny Fentress.
Second, Steve Carmichael.
With first and second, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Jason Collins.
Yes.
Scott Brown. Carmichael.
Yes.
James Sargent. Sonny Fentress.
Surplus request. Saffel Street Principal Nikki Lucas is requesting to surplus 125 old stored unused student desks. The request is to sell, donate, or dispose of the desks.
Any questions regarding this request?
Just a quick question about donations in general. When we have things that we want to donate that we're going to surplus, like books or desks or whatever, are there folks in the community that can use those things, or how do we dispose of those? I'm just curious. I know we have other folks who might be able to use those.
That's a great question, and so it depends on the principal making that request and/or the director. And so Mrs. Lucas has indicated that she, for this particular request, would see if we could donate those to any other entity or organization that might want to utilize those. And then I'm sure some of them are not going to be able to be donated just because they're broken or they're not usable. And then we would, of course, dispose of those. But typically we would ask entities around the community first. And then if there are other organizations outside of our community, we would, you know, a lot of them contact different places to see, you know, if they can use them. It's a great question.
Thank you. Motion to approve, Steve Carmichael.
Second, Sonny Fentress.
With first and second, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Jason Collins.
Yes.
Scott Brown. Steve Carmichael. James Sargent. Sonny Fentress.
SRO salary request, consideration to approve paying seasonal SROs $25 per hour for the 25-26 school year.
What was it this year?
$18 per hour. Percent increase is that? Mr. White's doing the math right now.
First of all, I have two questions because I can't remember.
Yes, sir.
I'm getting at the age where I forget things.
Don't admit it.
First of all, did the legislature pass a law that says we're required to have SROs?
Yes, sir.
Okay, they did.
Yes, sir.
All right, is the legislature giving us any money back to help us support this program?
Mr. White would be able to answer that specifically of the actual amount that we are able to receive back, and I'm going to ask him to explain that, please.
We can apply for, did receive, however you want to say that, $20,000 per school campus last year for a total of $120,000 as a district. This year, they've opened up the funding at the same rate of $20,000 per campus that has a full-time SRO, and any remaining funds that are in their allotment of dollars they put aside for that, we can then apply for an additional $20,000 per full-time SRO that we have. So for us, that would be a seventh SRO at another $20,000. So potentially we could have $140,000 from the legislature this year.
Here's another concern I have. This is quite a bit of a jump in cost to the district. Unless the legislator is gonna come across with some more money, I can't see us continue with that kind of jump every year in cost. And Ms. Mitchell, I'm blaming you because you put it out publicly about what great job they've done. Everybody coming in here trying to get these guys.
That is true.
So I'm blaming.
That's okay, sir.
Don't advertise what kind of great job. I knew they were doing a great job. Don't tell everybody across the state. You know.
We are very proud of our SRO program, and we're very blessed. So thank you, sir, and I will take responsibility for a little bit of that.
How many hours a day do they work?
So our SRO works, he is holding up 8 hours a day, so.
What are other districts paying?
More than us is the short answer to that. I should have brought that with me. I had a stack of that on my desk, and if you want me to run get it, I can do that. But basically, $25 an hour would put us kind of in the middle. So I looked at every district that I could find information on that had that published readily available on the internet. Scott County, I believe, was $26, $27 an hour. And some of their SROs, if I remember correctly, come from Scott County Sheriff's Office and maybe some from the Georgetown Police Department. Mercer County, I believe, has their own force, and they pay their guys, I believe it's $38,000 a year for 195 days or something along those lines. So Woodford County was in the same boat. They're paying roughly that dollar figure, and that was for their own police force. Spencer County, I believe, contracts their services out, and they pay whatever the going rate is at Spencer County Sheriff's Office or Taylorsville PD or whomever they're employed through. But the bottom line I came down to was $25 an hour makes us competitive, but it doesn't put us at the top of very many lists, if you will. And the difference there is we're not employing year-round. These are seasonal 9-month positions. So these gentlemen are typically, or females, whoever it is, are typically retired folks who've come back to work. So, you know, they can go make, say, $28 an hour to drive to Scott County, but they got to drive to Scott County. if they live here, and a lot of our folks live here. So if we can get somewhere in the ballpark, I think we can be competitive with them. But 25 gets us in the ballpark. It does not put us at the top by any stretch.
I don't think you can put a dollar figure on school safety, and we're blessed to have outstanding SROs. They do a great job of interacting with everybody, students, staff, parents. It's very reassuring. And to be in the middle of the pack is not necessarily something to be proud of, but it is a step forward when we raise that hourly rate from 18 to 25. So again, we can't pay folks enough for the job that they do. We're really blessed to have outstanding people.
What I think we ought to do as board members is contact our legislator and ask, you all gonna have to come up with some more money and help us out here.
Can I jump in on that? So what I would ask, that you ask of them, is they allotted $17.6 million, I believe, to school resource officers in the last fiscal year, and I think it's 18 point something this fiscal year, whatever the number is. But their language of their bill says whatever's left over goes into the budget reserve trust fund. I think they should change that to say whatever's left over, we distribute out to the people who already got the $20,000 up to, including their cost for their school resource officer. Because if there's money left on the table, why are we putting it in the budget reserve trust fund when we could help out all the districts that are employing these SROs and meeting their mandate to have one per school location? It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And I'll also add in, we also get about $72,000 in safe schools funding from the state of Kentucky. So all told, you got $72,000 in the 120 guaranteed, if you will, funds from the legislature to fund our SRO program.
I know that I read that a lot of districts was having money problems paying. It's been all over the media,
I have a question. What is this, a yearly salary? What will that figure out?
So if you're paying roughly 180 days at 8 hours a day and $25 an hour, that's $36,000.
How much will we pay a starting teacher?
43,107 off the top of my head.
We're making almost as much as a teacher.
if I was Dr. Davis, I would use that as my tool next year when it comes time to ask for raises, when other people get raises, I would use that.
I will say that this year I did sit in on the active shooter program specifically at SAFL. It's an alarming, I mean, I have done it before, but I don't care how many times you go through it, it is alarming, and those are our one line of defense that's actually going to be there to potentially save our students. So, I mean, I'm not gonna, I'm not saying.
That's a big jump.
No, I absolutely. I'm not gonna argue with that.
Raise that I know of, and they should have been paid more in the beginning. I'll be the first to admit they deserve more than $18. But it's the point of it gets out that we gave a 39% raise. That's the problem. I wish that they should have been making more than $18 2 years ago. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Could I ask one more question? When's the last time the SROs got a raise?
If I'm not mistaken, we bumped them to $18 an hour last year or 2 years ago, off the top of my head. But it was like a 2 or 3 or 4% raise over the previous year, and they were making $16, $17 an hour or something. I don't recall that off the top of my head, but it's
curious.
and not very recently have we done anything substantial to invest in that program in terms of hourly rate.
I'm just worried. I know they do great. I've seen them work. I'm thankful. It's just, we got to stop eventually. And getting so high, something's gotta come down eventually. Our inflation and everything, it just makes it difficult sitting there in this seat making decisions.
Are you looking at a different number, or you're just looking at a one-time increase, or what are you considering?
This is just for this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not for next year.
Well, it would be for next year. wouldn't it?
I mean, it's not for future years. I mean, let me, see, it's done got me all mixed up in the head.
It would be for,
Talking about all this money.
Moving forward, it's $25 an hour.
it would be for this year and the next year until you make the decision to make a change. Can everyone please make sure you use your microphone so Mr. Brown can hear as well, please?
It's a contract.
Turn
So
on.
When is the contract? This is for a one-year contract.
So this would be for this year and next year moving forward. So whatever decision you make for this year, it would go for this year moving forward, starting tomorrow. And then the next, until you change it, it would continue at the $25 rate until you make the decision to change it moving forward. Is the request on the table?
Are you wanting me to re-amend my motion, Steve?
No, I was just asking a question. Again, obviously, as a retired teacher and school administrator, I understand how important teachers and administrators and everybody else who works in the building, I understand how important those people are. But I also understand as an administrator, my number one responsibility was school safety. If we don't have a safe school, if we don't have the right kind of people in there, I'll say it this way, people in there with a pistol who can actually defend us if there's an issue, if we're losing good people to another school system because they can make $25, $26, $27 someplace else, Scott County or someplace else, again, we want to pay teachers every penny we can pay them. I'll say dime. Every dime we can pay them. And administrators as well. We all know that they're overpaid and underworked, but you know it's just the way it is when you're a school administrator. They're all worth everything we can pay, and that should be a priority. But school safety is the number one responsibility that we have, and we need to keep the very best people we can in those positions. And the 39% is a little bit hard to swallow. As a teacher and former administrator, it's hard to swallow. But we can't afford to lose people someplace else for, you know, $7 an hour. I mean, again, I know how hard these folks work to make sure that our schools and our staffs, everybody across the board, are protected and have the skills necessary if we have one of those situations. And we hope and we pray that we never have them, but we need to keep the best people we can there. And if we don't pay them, they're not going to stay.
Am I taking that as a second?
Where was the first? Is that
Sarge,
you first on the 25?
Oh, yeah, I did. I know it
Okay,
shocked you, put you in a
Now,
shock.
this was like half an hour
I
ago.
kept going on for a second. Second, Steve Carmichael.
With the first and second, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Jason Collins?
Yes.
Scott Brown? Steve Carmichael?
Yes.
James Sargent? Sonny Fentrez?
I do have one final comment. One of the problems we have here is we need to have something come here that generates a lot of money for us and brings in a lot of revenue for our school district. You know, I just heard that Mercer County's got the big $1 billion apple plant. You know, we've got to create some, or we can't, you know, that's how come they beat us in being able to give so much that we don't have.
I agree, we need more industry.
Mr. Sargent, for the record, I just want to make sure your motion is $25 until further, until the board changes it, proceeding forward. Thank you, sir. That is correct. Mr. Carmichael, that is your second as well.
That's my second, but I find a hard time believing we'll lower that number next year or 2 years from now. Yes,
Correct.
ma'am, that's my second.
Thank you.
Next up, we have trip requests. Recommended to approve the following trip requests. Anderson County High School FCCLA teacher Wayne Scott is requesting approval to take the team to the FCCLA Fall Leadership Institute at the Disney Colorado Springs Resort in Orlando, Florida, October 15th through the 19th of 2025. Flights are requested for transportation. Parents, guardians, and LVAC funds are paying for the cost of the trip. Coronado Springs is a very nice resort. FCCLA teacher Lauren Wainscott is requesting approval to take the team to the FCCLA Fall State Executive Council meeting in Mount Sterling, staying at Big Sky Barn House on September the 8th through the 9th of 2025. This is an overnight trip. Transportation is requested. There is no cost for this trip. A CHS FFA teacher Christy Ford is requesting approval to take 2 students to FCCLA or FFA Leadership Camp in Harrodsburg on September the 12th through the 13th, 2025. This is an overnight trip request. District transportation is requested. There is no cost for this trip.
Are there any questions regarding these trip requests?
Sonny Fentress, motion to approve.
Second, Steve Carmichael.
With the first and second, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Jason Collins?
Yes.
Scott Brown? Scott Brown? Steve Carmichael?
Yes.
James Sargent? Sonny Fentress?
Yes.
I was going to say, did we lose Scott? Okay. We'll move on. If he pops back in, he can give his purchase requests over $10,000. I'm going to let you all read through all of those. But I'm going to request myself to break out number 6 from the rest of those, just because it's a little different type of request than the rest of these.
Do you want me to go through them real quickly, sir?
Yeah, if you would like, that's.
Right, so there are 6 total requests. The first one is from Food Service Director B.J. Gritton and Chief Information Officer Blake Jury, requesting to replace 6 POS due to the lifetime, the end of life for these devices at each school. There were 3 quotes given, with the cheapest quote being from Heartland at $10,352. That also includes new pin pads for partial of those. CDW $13,820, and prosthesis $14,718. The second request is from Chief Academic Officer Bobby Murphy to purchase the NWEA MAP assessment for the 25-26 school year. This is to assess student skills and monitor academic progress in reading and math in grades K through 12, but also the state required fluency in grades K through 3 in science and grade, which is the tested assessed grade levels in 4, 7, and 11. The cost is $41,129. This is an annual reoccurrence that we have to purchase for assessing 3 times per year for all of those. M&B Ward, Saffel Street, and Sparrow Early Childhood Center principals are all requesting intervention programs, with M&B Wards being magnetic reading in the amount of $24,491.60. It is budgeted from the reading diagnostic fund. It is a grant provided by KDE. Saffel Street Principal Nikki Lucas to purchase Lexia Core 5 reading for Tier 2 intervention as well for grades 1 through 3 in the amount of $37,753.51. It's also budgeted from the grant. In Sparrow Early Childhood Center, Robin Ratliff Principal requesting permission to purchase 8 U-Fly decodable reading with 6 pack sets, including 128 titles, in the amount of $24,675 for kindergarten. So all 3 of those are intervention programs to be paid out of the reading grant. Those are the first 5. Are there any questions regarding those 5?
If there's no questions, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Steve Carmichael.
Can I get a second? With the first and second, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Jason Collins?
Yes.
Scott Brown? Scott Brown? Steve Carmichael?
Yes.
James Sargent? Sonny Fentress?
Yes.
The breakout item is the Anderson County High School Principal Chris Glass and Assistant Principal Kayla Smith is requesting approval to purchase a vehicle for the FFA program. They have a very successful program and a state officer and will need it for travel purposes. They're requesting this to be paid from the general fund and reimbursed from Career and Technical Education, LVAC funds. CFO Josh White obtained the following quotes from Bachman Chevrolet, 2025 Chevy Traverse at $44,469, and a 2025 Chevy Suburban, $64,600.
You're requesting to buy both of them or just the one?
That's a great question, Mr. Fentress. The request is to purchase one, either the Traverse or the Suburban.
I will go ahead and ask the question. Do we have, I know we have a few vehicles. Do we not have a vehicle that they can use? Yeah.
Please.
So we do have one Suburban at this time. The thing becomes with transportation, especially of smaller numbers of students, and that's the reason we got the initial first one. Now we're in a situation where you can transfer six to eight kids pretty easily, but then you get to like 13, where you're having to take an entire bus for 13 kids. That 13, 14 number runs quite a bit, especially when you're talking about like kids going to a leadership conference. Not the entire people will go. This is some of the purpose of what we used our LAVEX funds previously, so it's the same pool of money is what we get from that. But the ability to transport them and not put the transportation cost on our bus, where our bus is down in those situations where we have smaller number of students traveling, especially on some longer trips, so on and so forth. The other thing is cost to the funding and the cost to the students. Because if we were to pay for all these trips, we just wouldn't be able to possibly do it. So obviously, taking a Suburban, gas money is 10 times cheaper, a lot more cheaper, than being able to afford a bus driver, paying mileage on the bus, all those particular types of things. So that's kind of what the purpose is behind it. Our FFA and FCCLA programs are very big. The others who have used it, some of our athletic programs have used it as well. Golf, particularly, uses our Suburban quite a bit, and we've even used, it's been used in the district some to transport some of our food programs for, so that's another reason that we have used it in the past at times to do that. Now, I do know that they did purchase some extra vehicles, so that obviously has been done as well. But primarily the reason we're looking at is for those trips and that transportation, because it just gets too costly to the programs, to be quite honest with you.
It's cheaper to buy a new vehicle than it is to take a bus we already own?
Well, but to the actual club themselves, the fees are the fees. I mean, we still have to charge for the bus driver. We still have to charge. In the grand scheme of things, it'll make, you know what I'm saying? Yes, in the up front, no, that's not the case. But in the grand scheme of things, I think overall, yes, it's cost efficient.
You have one vehicle.
We have one.
You have one here at
Correct.
the board office.
Yes.
So theoretically, we could, when we have those situations where we have 12, 13 students, we could use both of those vehicles and not purchase a new vehicle.
It occurs at times. It does not occur at times. But yes, it could. Yes, theoretically, yes, 100%.
And I love this program. You know,
Yeah.
I love this program. I wish this program had been there when I was in school, but then I'm not sure. I don't know where I'd have been at that particular age. But anyway, I love this program. It's just, I think the expenditure, we're back to being frugal, and I hate to keep saying that because we're going to talk about this other stuff here, but $44,000 is a lot of money I mean, what do we do the next time the next group asks about, we'd like to have one because you bought one for FFA, we'd like to have one because we've got 12 kids that want to go. That's the part I struggle with.
It may help if he explains a little bit about the funding as well.
He knows I'm remedial, so he'll go real slow and talk real loud.
Suburban.
What they initially had said, what they had looked at was the Suburban, I believe.
So the funding we're talking about using would be the CTE supplemental funds that we would move to pay for a salary of employees in the CTE program that we're currently funding out of the general fund. And then pick up the purchase of the vehicle from the general fund because the Kentucky Department of Education won't let us directly buy a vehicle through CTE funding. So it's a one-for-one dollar swap is essentially what we would be doing there. So a teacher that we're paying for out of the general fund would get paid for from CTE funds because that is an allowable expense. And then we replace that dollar with the purchase of the vehicle in the general fund. So these are CTE directly related funds. The benefit is the rest of the district, when available, could utilize the vehicle because it was technically purchased with general fund dollars at that point, and it's not restricted funds.
We have to insure it.
It would be on our fleet insurance, yes, sir. Yep.
Who's going to drive it?
One of the teachers would drive it, so that eliminates the cost of the driver.
Bus driver?
It doesn't have to be a bus driver. No, as long as it's 9 passengers or less, and all of these vehicles are 9 passengers or less, it does not have to be a bus driver. It doesn't have to have a CDL, which also doesn't take a bus driver away from the transportation department. So that gives a little more flexibility to the program itself in terms of being able to go and come. If you take a bus driver out of the normal course of their route, and Mr. Harley can attest to this or tell me I'm completely wrong, but if Ms. Conway doesn't have a bus driver for her afternoon routes because they're out on a field trip, that puts everybody else in a little bit of a pickle then if we don't have a substitute driver. So if the teacher can drive the vehicle, the thought process there is also that they're helping the transportation department in a way because that bus is still available for morning or afternoon transportation. If it's an overnight trip, we're not taking a bus somewhere overnight and that driver overnight as well. So to put a pencil to it to say it's absolutely cheaper, I don't know that is 100% correct. I would say it is much more convenient and conducive to what they need to have happen for their programs, and the timing and the availability is if we need to go this weekend because we have a state officer who is participating, one person, they're in a district-owned vehicle as opposed to their parents having to transport them or the teacher transporting them in their own car, which would be not something we would want to have happen. So we have that available to us.
How many times does this happen during the course of a year that we have
A lot.
12 kids? How many times? 5 times, 10 times, every month?
I mean, you just approved 3 trips for FCCLA and FFA, and they would probably utilize 1 or 2 of these vehicles for every one of those trips, if I was guessing, in some way, shape, or form. They travel FCCLA and FFA. When I was an administrator at the high school, I felt like they traveled every week. It seemed like it's probably not that often, but it is very frequent that there is some sort of leadership opportunity that they've got, some training that they can go to, some showcase for the kids. There's all manner of things that they're going to participate in through those programs.
Okay, this is, I woke up one day and I was old. I don't know how that happened, but, kind of with, lose a train of thought kind of a thing. I'm still asking on this, though. We have 2 vehicles, and I don't know how often we use the one here at central office, but we have 2. That's part of my thought process. And the other part of the process, wouldn't it be less expensive to rent a vehicle when we needed one on occasion when there's not one available versus, again, I'm swallowing, I've got water, but I'm swallowing hard on this $45,000 or this other.
I understand.
I can't see without my glasses, and I'm not putting them on because I know it was big. It was big. That's the only problem I have. It's like, could we not rent a vehicle on the days when we need
Perhaps.
additional, which would save us?
I guess if one is available that meets their needs, we potentially could rent one. That's typically not something that we've.
But
We thought, another question I have, he just turned my light on.
I'll turn it off. I got it right here.
Turn it back off. What about, is it cheaper if we lease the vehicle, sort of back? Because that's what most of the companies nowadays do. They don't purchase, they lease them.
Most companies don't hold on to their vehicles for 20 years, though.
The leasing of the vehicle is it gets turned back in and we lose that benefit for the cost that we've put out. so we don't have any kind of an asset at that point. So I mean, we could probably go down that road. I don't know what it would cost to lease a Suburban. Is it $1,000 a month for 36 months? Is it $800 a month to lease a Traverse for 36 months? I don't know what that number is right off the top of my head, but you would expend half the money and have nothing at the end is essentially.
Get nothing when we sell them for surplus.
No, but we've got a 2007 model Suburban sitting out there in the parking lot that we could still run around town in if we absolutely needed to. So we've gotten 17 years worth of benefit out of that, 18 years worth of benefit. I'm sorry.
They lease theirs and they keep them for 10 years, and they're still leased. It's a 10-year lease. So I didn't know, I was just curious, because I'm like Steve, I mean,
It could be cheaper. I don't know. That's not anything that I've really dug into for this particular situation.
we talked about leasing buses. This has been a few years
Yeah.
ago. I remember that we had discussed, and we never done it, but we did discuss leasing buses one time to see the advantage or disadvantage. We requested information, you know. I don't know if that was your time, Steve, or not. I don't remember how long it's been. I'm just like you. But you're old, so I don't know. That's true.
Is it possible you could look into leasing or enterprise rentals or something and just see what kind of costs are involved in that? Again,
Can I,
it's tough when we're asking about.
I'm gonna step in
Go
here.
ahead, I'm sorry.
Can we table this for a month or so, and then
I just like to look at
we can look at,
other
we can
possibilities.
look at
I'm
other
just happy to
options?
answer questions. I'm not making any decision one way or
I'm
the
not-
other here. I just happen to be the guy
I'm
who
just
stood up
gonna-
here.
I don't,
Table until we get more information on lease, and we can think it over for
So you would like to know what it would cost to lease a similar vehicle,
and rent,
and disadvantages.
and
and
rent.
then what the cost to rent a similar vehicle would be.
Yes.
Yes, because I think on those occasions when we need an extra vehicle, it'd be cost-effective to rent one. I don't,
And if you know, like a week ahead of time, I know you can always go up to like Enterprise and get a 12-passenger.
I don't know that we can drive a 12-passenger. Is that correct, Mr. Harley? We cannot drive a 12-passenger vehicle. Is that?
We're over the limit of that. Okay.
I will gather that information and bring it back to you.
Thank you.
Do you need a second, or
Need a
did you already get a
and then
second?
Oh,
Second?
Yeah.
Steve Carmichael.
with first and second, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Jason Collins.
Yes.
Scott Brown. Steve Carmichael.
Yes.
James Sargent.
Yes.
Sonny Fentress.
Yes.
And that's why I broke it out. Next up, Maxim Nursing contract, Special Education Director Beth Morgan Cook is requesting approval of the Maxim Nursing contract to assist in the special needs student as recommended by the board attorney. The school board attorney is reviewing both of these agreements, requesting approval with his recommendation.
Motion approved, Sonny Venturez.
Second, Steve Carmichael.
With a first and second, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Jason Collins.
Yes.
Scott Brown. Steve Carmichael.
Yes.
James Sargent.
Yes.
Sonny Fentress.
Yes.
Can you please tell me who seconded that motion?
It was Sonny and,
Mr. Sargent?
I don't
who
remember.
seconded that motion?
Motion, I second this one.
yeah,
Yes,
I second it.
he seconded.
Mr. Sonny made the motion.
I don't remember which one did which. And now we're to the fun part. Next up is set real estate and property, personal property tax rates. Mr. White.
I feel like I've been up here all night. I guess. All right. So for the tax rate information, Kentucky Revised Statute allows us 45 days from the date that we receive the certified tax rates for the district to actually adopt a tax rate for the fiscal year. So we're within that window currently. The compensating rate would generate us the same level of revenue as the prior year, excluding any new property that was added to the tax rolls. And then the 4% rate would be a 4% increase in revenue above what was collected in the prior year. For fiscal year 26, the fiscal year that we're just now starting, the difference between the compensating rate and the 4% rate in terms of revenue is about $555,000. If you were to adopt the compensating rate, there is no tax hearing that is required. The 4% rate also does not require a tax hearing. And if there was no change to the tax rate, there would need a hearing only if that rate exceeded the 4% rate, which in our case it would not be. If the rate was not to change, it would not exceed the 4% rate. So that's just kind of the general tax information and all the rules and regulations surrounding that. You've probably seen this before. I've been adding to this chart every year that I've come up here to show you this. I know it's kind of small there. I'll just run down the 24-25 real estate tax rates for the surrounding counties. And then I also lumped in Boyle and Scott because that's a couple of districts we often compete with. For Anderson County in 24-25, our rate was 59.5. Franklin was 74.1. Mercer was 71.6. Nelson 67.3, Shelby 71.4, Spencer 60, Washington 58, and Woodford 67.3. Rounding out the list, Boyle 65.3 and Scott 62.9. Of those list of counties, Anderson County is the second lowest tax rate in our immediate area. We are the 74th lowest rate out of 168 districts listed on KDE's tax rate list, and there are 94 districts with a tax rate that is higher than ours, based on KDE's tax rate list. I was talking to our fiscal agent, Baird, and she told me that the average real estate tax rate for fiscal year 25 was 64.4. I didn't fact check her, so to speak, but that seems reasonable based on what I'm looking at here and what I looked at on KDE's list. Those are all numbers that are greater than ours currently. If you look at Anderson County is the light blue dot, going from 17-18 across the board. You heard me quoting 17-18 school year and the differences in pay from that point, and I was doing that because this is the information that's on my presentation. The blue dot you can see is the second lowest in 24-25. It was the second lowest in 23-24. It was third in the previous years there, carrying on through. You can also see the downward trend of our tax rate over the course of the last few years. And if you just look at Anderson County alone, this is our tax rate on real estate. Some years the tangible rate, the personal property rate matches that. Some years it doesn't. I just use the real estate rate. You can see from 1920 until 24-25, you all have had a downward trend on the rate that has been adopted. Oftentimes you've been able to take the 4% rate and reduce the tax rate. I'm going to jump back to this previous slide. And you can see I've got 4% and other underneath the 24-25 rate and the 23-24 rate, where it's not just a number, it's a percent or the word other. Anytime you see other in there, typically what that district did was they kept their rate the same even though they could have reduced it. So they kept it the same and probably produced more than 4% revenue in many of those cases. You all had that opportunity to keep the rate the same and raise more than 4% revenue, but you didn't do that. You reduced the rate and were still able to take 4%. So reducing the rate over the last 5 years has been a benefit to the residents of Anderson County, me included. Pretty much anybody who has paid taxes in the last 5 years in Anderson County has seen a reduction in their tax rate from the school district. If we were to adopt the compensating rate for fiscal year 26, that rate would be 58 cents per $100. 58 per $100. The 4% rate with exonerations, in the previous 58 I included the exonerations as well. The 4% rate would be 60.3, and the current rate of 59.5 you could adopt to keep that as well. You could just say we're just going to leave it what it is. If you were to adopt the compensating rate with exonerations and go with the 58, we would expect about $13.985 million in revenue. If you were to adopt the 4% rate with exonerations, or 60.3, you'd be looking at about $14.54 million in revenue. And if you just left the rate the same at 59.5, we'd be talking about $14,346,000 in revenue. Doesn't mean a whole lot until you put it in context. So looking at the total revenue that we expected in fiscal year 25, bottom left number, $13,623,000. That's how much we expected for fiscal year 25 if everybody paid their tax bill. The expected revenue for fiscal year 26, if you went with a compensating rate versus what we received in fiscal year 25, compensating rate would get us about $361,000 more in revenue than we had over fiscal year 25. If there was no change in the rate versus fiscal year 25 revenue, it would be about a $723,000 increase in revenue. And if you went with the 4% rate for fiscal year 26 with exonerations versus fiscal year 25, it would be about a $916,000 increase in revenue. Compensating versus 4%, you already heard me say this, about $555,000 in additional revenue, and the compensating rate versus no change in the rate would be about $361,000 in additional revenue. Questions so far?
And remind me, last year when we gave the teachers raises,
4.5%.
it was a little over $1 million, right?
Let me clarify your question. You're talking about when you did a raise in April coming into this year? Yes, 4.5%, and the step, and it'll be about $1.2 million. $1.2 million, $1.3 million, somewhere in that neighborhood, depending on where we end up in terms of who's hired and all that kind of stuff. If you're thinking about it in terms of the cost on a home, I can get this to dial in here a little bit better. $100,000 home value, 24-25 rate. The tax bill for the school system was $595. If you adopted the compensating rate, it'd be $580, and if you adopted the 4% rate, it'd be $603. The 19-20 rate, which was the highest we've had in the last few years, that $100,000 home would have been $657. Now, you guys are like me, your home value's probably increased over the course of the last 5 or 6 years. If your value of your home went up by 10% and you had a $100,000 home now living in a $110,000 home, you can see the rates there. And the 4% rate with a 10% increase in value is very similar to what somebody was paying in 1920, in the fiscal year 20. And I broke it down for some more home values on down the page there, but you can see those yellow boxed values. The 1920 rate is the highest we've been, would be very comparable to somebody's tax bill with a 10% increase in value on their home if you were to adopt the 4% rate. Questions on that chart?
Sonny Fentress, I make a motion, we take a 4% increase and set it at 60.1 cents.
Would you include the exonerations and go to 60.3?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you? Yes, sir.
I had planned on making a motion to take the compensating rate, and this is the reason why. You had brought up about the employees' salaries. This past year, we've had some older employees that retired from our district. Ms. Mitchell has moved other people into those positions to help cut costs. And my hat goes off to her for that. Whenever we lose an employee that with 25 or 30 years service and we replace them with a year or two service, we save money. So our cost of our salary goes down. And we've had, this past year, we had a lot of older employees retire. So that means that the newer employee, our salary cost is going to go down. So I see no reason to add more, burdening on the people's taxes and raise it, because I feel like we can make it on what we've had in the past, you know, with the same amount of money. That's just my 2 cents worth.
Could I just ask again, I've said this before, I taught social studies and not math. Now, I love social studies. I like math. I don't like it a lot, but I love social studies. When you go back to that chart you just had, between a $100,000 house and a $200,000 house, you're talking between $8 and $15 more a year at 4%?
So this is my home, okay? My wife and I live here in Anderson County.
Okay.
Our home is valued at $240,000. It's public information. It's on the tax rolls. So up until 24-25, we were valued at $220. So we had an increase in value. So you can see our tax bill for the school in 23-24 was $1,313.40. 24-25, we had an increase in home value. So our tax bill went to $1,428. If you were to adopt the 4% rate on the new value of our home, $240,000, our tax bill for 25-26 would be $1,447.20. Right above that, you can see that's less than a $20 increase, or about $1.60 a month additional in taxes over what we paid in 24-25. I'm a homeowner in Anderson County. That's my tax bill. That's what it would cost me, a little less than $20 for the whole year.
How much would it cost you?
A little less than $20 for the whole year.
$40,000 home.
On a $240,000 home, my tax bill would go from $1,428 to $1,447.20 if the rate was 60.3.
That's good, because that's about where my math was on that, so it's nice to be reassured that I was close.
I do agree with you on the percentage, but the problem that's happened is they've raised the values of people's homes, so they're having to pay more tax on the value.
Got that figured in.
Mine didn't go, my taxes personally didn't go down, you know, because I compared them. But I have a duty as people elected me. I had numerous calls from my neighbors, and I have to do what they asked of me because I represent them. I live in a very conservative district, and some of my neighbors own a lot of property in Anderson County, and they are very vocal to me before I get here in the past day or two about what they expect of me.
So the last thing I'll show you is the overall SEEK picture, and we don't have a final SEEK number for this fiscal year yet. Just the middle of the screen is what KDE provides, and the SEEK sheet, if you will, is what they call it. So in 24-25, we were set to get, or we did get, $12,866,140 in SEEK funds. The forecasted SEEK amount is $13,193,000. That's a difference in SEEK money of about $327,000. That's if everything holds true, numbers of students ADA, all of those things, because this is off the forecast that came out in April. So the difference in the compensating versus the 4% rate, with the SEEK money included, with the additional SEEK money included, at the 4% rate, we would have an additional $1.2 million in revenue, and at the compensating rate, we would have about $689,000 in additional revenue. Mr. Collins asked me what our raise cost was. It's approximately $1.3 million coming into this year, and we've tentative budget was to spend about $390,000 in additional operating expenses. And you heard me touch on some of those earlier: traceable communications, property insurance, all of those things. There's not a whole lot that hasn't gone down in cost that we do. I'm sure the hot topic across the county for a while was the garbage collection. That's going to factor into our costs as well, because we have lots of dumpsters sitting around in our campuses that get picked up daily. So that's going to be an additional cost for us this year as well. So just lots of things that'll hit us just like anybody else. But I'll go back to this previous slide. This is going to be the cost of my household. If you were to go with the 4%, would be an additional $20 for the year, or about $1.60 per month. And you can see from 1920, $1,445.40 was the tax bill on a $220,000 home. $1,447.20, that's less than a $2 increase from 1920 to 25-26, and we've had a $20,000 increase in the value of our house.
We do have a motion on the floor.
Motion on the floor.
Mr. Ventrez, would you like to amend your motion to 60.3, or you want to keep your motion, your original motion at 60.1?
He said he did say 60.3.
Okay, thank you.
I'm getting confused here. What motion is on the floor?
60.3, which is the 4% with exonerations.
Here's the part that concerns me, not about that particular motion. It's just, we have to stay ahead of the curve. And nothing we buy today is going to be the same price tomorrow or a month from now. You know, and I know of at least 2 districts in central Kentucky that are struggling with multi-million-dollar deficits that they're trying to figure out, how do we recoup enough money to pay salaries to get through next year? And we've had great leadership for 16 years. We've had, you know, Josh does an outstanding job watching our finances. I agree with James. You know, I serve at the discretion of the people in the 4th District. I don't want anybody to pay any more taxes than they absolutely have to. But when I'm looking at the difference between $8 and $20 a year to make sure that our school system stays on solid ground, it's really hard for me to swallow staying the same. You know, again, we're like everybody else. You know, every month we're paying bills and trying to see what do we pay this month, or what do we don't pay, or we do without. I just can't. I think being able to stay on solid financial footing for our district going forward is one of those things where we can't afford to stand still, because I think our costs next year are going to be more. And I know Dr. Davis is going to come back next year and ask about raises. And absolutely, teachers and administrators and bus drivers and custodians and all those folks deserve a raise as much as we can pay. And I just don't see how we can continue to do those things if we don't at least take the minimum that we can with the 4%. Again, that's where I am on this.
You know, Steve, these districts got all this COVID money, and they went out and they spent it, and they didn't prepare for the future. And now they're in the financial bind. They built new schools. Still building. And they're still building, and I had our representative tell me that they came griping to them wanting more money after they spent it. And, you know, he can only get so much. Well, eventually the well goes dry, and eventually you've got to start cutting back. And we've got to start cutting back. I'm not saying, me personally, I'm not going to sit here tonight and vote to take away money, but I'm just looking at keeping the money the same. And that's why me personally, I was supporting the compensating rate, because we get the same amount of revenue in. And I feel like with teacher salaries, we've lost some of these older teachers that were older, and we've got younger ones, and they don't make the same. So I feel like we've had quite a bit of cut there, and it would make some help with us, and we made it through this year, we'd make it through next year. That's just and either way, I've got, you know, I've made my word with my people that I've talked, you know, I've spoken with, it's called me up with their concerns.
Well, you know how much I respect your position. I just have to feel like we need to stay on financial footing that's sound and solid and moving forward and keeping us in a responsible position as a school district. And I don't think we can stand still and be able to do that. And that concerns me looking forward. It'd be great if we could predict the future, but we can't. But we can at least put ourselves in a position where we're financially stable. And that's, I would have to agree with Mr. Fentress on the 4%.
So I just want to make sure, Mr. Fentress, your motion is 60.3, so the 4% with the exonerations, is that your motion? Yes?
Second, Steve Carmichael.
With a first and second, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Jason Collins?
I'm going to state with, just as Steve and Sonny has said, that we can't, nothing's getting cheaper. You know, if this was going up, you know, a considerable amount, then I would have to say no. There's just no way. But when we're looking at the trip, you know, one trip to Arby's difference for a year, then it's, you know, I'm gonna have to say yes, because nothing else here is going cheaper. I mean, even with this, we're bringing in less than what we've put out, and that's gonna go year after year with these teachers, with the raises. So my vote is yes.
Scott Brown. Steve Carmichael.
Yes.
James Sargent. Sonny Fentress.
Next is set motor vehicle and watercraft tax rates and utility tax. The maximum tax rate for motorcraft is 51.3. The current motor vehicle tax rate is 51.3, and the utility tax is 3%.
I'm all for things staying the same, so I make a motion to approve setting the tax rate at 51.3 and utility tax at 3%.
Can I second that? Or is there discussion? I like to be in agreement occasionally with you. Second, Steve Carmichael.
With the first and second, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Jason Collins.
Yes.
Scott Brown. Steve Carmichael.
Yes, ma'am.
James Sargent.
Yes.
Sonny Fentress.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Let's to adjourn, Steve Carmichael.
Second, Sonny Ventress.
With the first and second, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Jason Collins.
Yes.
Scott Brown. Steve Carmichael. James Sargent.
Yes.
Sonny Fentress.
We are adjourned.
Hey, no hard feelings, you know.
I can put that toward